you, honestly, I will love it if we beat them.
Yes, everyone, what's going on? My name is Stephen Howson, today joined by Simon for a warm down. Thanks for joining us, mate.
No problem at all.
We are sponsored by the good folks at The Athletic, and you can get up to 50% off your yearly subscription by using the link down below in the subscription. It's got an absolute world-class team of writers, some very interesting United content coming out of there as well. This is the new home of football writing, so if you're into that sort of thing, and you probably should be, then this is what you need to be checking out. Now, I just saw an article this morning by Adam Crafton, and he was talking about Mourinho mentions that United need a plan B. I would absolutely agree on that, considering we've allowed so many to go. What's your stance on that?
Well, I think we're in the problem. We've got the problem of being down to our bare bones with the squad now. You know, you've only got to look at the bench and who we were able to bring in on Saturday to realise that Ollie has a problem of not only not having a plan B, but just not having the players to bring in, the squad players, because there's this big cry of, well, let's bring in Gomez, let's bring in Chong and everything like that. But all it has to be realistic. You know, we're playing in the Premier League, we're playing against professionals and what we don't want to do is we don't want to damage the confidence of the kids by throwing them in too early.
Do you think that's a real thing, though? Because I'm sure you remember that game where Barcelona absolutely battered us in '94. Nicky Butt was 17 in that, and he played. Ryan Giggs would have been like 19, I imagine, and played in that game as well.
Yeah. I mean, that was down to, obviously, the ban that Europe put on. And yes, they got battered, and yeah, I think it was a lesson for them. But the very next week, Schmeichel, Keane, Cantona coming back into the team. And that's what, when people keep saying, well, throw the kids in, and the class of 92 and everything like that, you've got to remember that the players they were playing with, you know, through the spine of the team, you know, you had your Bruce, Pallister, you know, Keane, Robson, Hughes, Ince, all players like this who were absolutely, you know, essential players.
And a lot of them you can find more of in Simon's book, The Captain's Club.
Yeah.
You actually can, because, well, Bruce is on the back, you've got Ginev, Cantona, Keane, Robbo on the front. All right, let's change topic straight away then. Yeah. Do we lack a fucking load of leaders or
do
what?
We? That is the... One of Fergie's greatest strengths was that he always picked a leader on the pitch. Always identified...
several.
Oh, yeah, he always identified a leader. You know, be it Gary Neville, be it Keane, be it your Nicky Butts, you know, people who would let you know.
Character.
If you weren't... Absolutely, Steve Bruce.
Look at the last European Cup win, right? Real wore the armband. You had Vidic, you had Evra, you had Paul Scholes on there, who maybe not what people think of as a traditional leader, but I imagine he lets you know in no uncertain terms in your ear. You had Ryan Giggs, you had Wayne Rooney, characters, leaders, even Ronaldo.
Well, no, see, I mean, Ronaldo, you know, people would think Ronaldo hasn't played up to the standard he has out of luck. He's played because of standards that he sets, and he sets himself, and you know, and the practicing that he puts in, and young players see this, and that was the effect that Cantona had. Cantona didn't turn up and just stick his collar up, and you know, and everything went magic. The kids noticed that when they were all coming in from training, he would get one of them to stay out with him, and he'd practice his free kicks, or he'd practice
a cultural thing,
passing, and suddenly they started to realize, well, I'll stay out a little bit longer, you know, and rather than rushing home to make, you know, the latest video from some product that they're trying to flog and everything like that, they were actually out practicing the stuff. So
wait, football coming first?
Yeah.
That's never going to catch on, Simon.
It's hard to think of, but there was a time when, you know, when football was more important than a new dance you wanted to get over on your latest blog. So.
Oh, do we hit the panic button yet, or what?
No, I think, unfortunately, you know, we were discussing this before we went on air. We are going through a season where we're going to have to just suck it. We're a mid-table team, and the reason that we're getting these results is because that's the team that we are. You know, we're equal with Wolves, we're equal with Everton, we're equal with Southampton. That's the kind of, you know, a lot of our players. You know, you look at them. And that's the kind of team they would get into. You know, the majority of players playing for United wouldn't get into any of the top four teams, and we have to accept it. Liverpool and City isn't one player that we possess that would break into their teams. And just, it just wouldn't happen. So if you've got a mid-table set of players, that's how you should expect.
Well, you can look at maybe not so much Southampton, but certainly Everton, Leicester, Wolves. You look at the midfields that they possess, and you go, probably better than ours.
Yeah, without doubt, and everyone knew that. This isn't anything new. This is rocket science. We knew all summer that we needed a creative midfielder. We sold Herrera, and Herrera did a job, and he had the right attitude and everything like that, and we didn't replace him. Scott McTominay, God bless him. He'll run all day for you, and he'll put a shift in, and he's a big unit. So I can understand why Jose liked him. Is he going to find that hair-splitting pass?
He's not Michael Carrick, is he?
It's not going to happen. Pereira, I think maybe a little bit out of his depth at the moment, at the level he's being asked to ask.
Pereira shows flashes of where you go, oh, and then some flashes where you just go, fuck's sake.
And all of them,
well frustrating.
The lad at Leicester with the afro, I can't remember what it's called.
Tillman?
No, Leicester midfielder.
Well, the whole midfield.
It's got an afro. Chowdhury.
Oh, Chowdhury.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Love him to death. He does it. He'd do a fantastic job for us. He gets everywhere, worries everybody, and then just gives it to the creative player.
I seen him playing for England in the summer, actually, and he does. He's just got that X factor going on.
Yeah, he's got, and he's everywhere. Whereas,
he's not even really a start of it. You're looking at Ndidi, Maddison, Tillman. Them three alone.
Yeah. No, it's like you say. There's Wolves and Leicester both got better midfielders than us, but they're the problem with United has been, and we might as well get on to the subject now. Is Ed Woodward. Everybody knows it. The guy's an accountant who's been touched by this stardust of United and loves it, doesn't want to give it up, and he wants to be the person. And so, if you're Manchester City and an agent comes and says, "I've got these players," Pep will say, "Well, no, I'm looking for a right back who can do this."
Yeah,
and they'll say, "But I've got this player." And he said, "I'm not interested. I've got this. Or I'm looking. Or I need a midfielder who can do this, a striker." We get. Well, I've got Zlatan. I've got Sanchez, and they need a club, and you can see Ed's head going, "Oh, shirts! How many shirts will I sell?" Not whether they fit into the team, not they may be past it and things like that. I'm really, really surprised we didn't go in for Woodward, because to me it seems like for Woodward for Gareth Bale. Yeah, sorry, I'm surprised that Woodward didn't go in for Gareth Bale, because
I thought it was a knocking back.
He was like, I thought it was like a wet dream for Ed, because he could see all the shirts being sold and stuff like that. So unfortunately, we've got this thing of where we bought players for players' sake, whether they fitted into the team or not.
Well, that's what I think.
And our recruitment policy has been, over the past 6 years, has been the reason that we are now like we are. And Leicester and Everton and Wolves and that will probably finish higher than us.
I think we're going to scrape by it but I don't think it'll be comfortable. But I agree with you on the scattergun approach to transfers, and some nature of that is because we've had a ton of different managers in the last few years, and that's always going to be. I think Fellaini was definitely a Moyes signing. I don't think Juan Mata was. I think Juan Mata was a Woodward signing.
Oh no, there isn't any doubt about that. Pogba was a Woodward signing. Pogba wasn't a Jose signing.
Well, no, they said, didn't they, it was being worked on 2 years prior to him.
Pogba was Woodward. I don't think Sanchez was an Ed signing.
Di Maria, Falcao.
Yeah, they were other ones. They were other ones who became available. Everybody knew Di Maria didn't want to come to United. He was being touted around everywhere, and he didn't particularly want to come. And Woodward took him, and then we got this ridiculous, my house has been broken into, so I've got to leave and go to a different country. And fair dues to him. But Jose. But Jose came out. We've discussed it in the past with these set of players. Finished second, finished above Liverpool. And from then on, he said it's one of his greatest ever achievements to take these set of players and get up there with a total that in some seasons might have won the league for him.
Yeah, he would have won the league.
But said we need 5 players on this if we've got any chance of challenging. And Super Ed came out and said,
"Well, that summer we didn't sign a single first choice
player, you're not having any." One of the people, Harry Maguire, who he identified at the time was 50 million, and Ed said, "No, we don't need him because we've got Smalling." And 2 seasons later, he's paying 30 million extra for him, and we're shifting Chris out to Roma. So
It felt like this summer actually did sort of feel like a change in tactic, at least. Bringing in Dan James, Wan-Bissaka and Maguire did, maybe less so on Dan James, but Wan-Bissaka and Maguire felt like issues identified and solved. Yeah,
I'd have no doubt, but which is great. But let's face it, the screaming things that we're crying out for was a creative number 10. A midfielder who could take the ball and actually hurt people with it and feed the ball to forwards. And then if you replace a goal scorer in Lukaku, whether he's your cup of tea or not, is not a point. He became the whipping boy for people who just wanted to blame people for us losing, and he never got the service that he thrives on. And I think when he's in Italy, I think you'll see him score goals like he does for Belgium. We still haven't got any wingers. We've got James in now, who proved on Saturday that he can start putting a ball in. But what we don't have now is a striker who can bully defenders and get his foot in. But to not replace him with anyone,
losing Herrera. Fellaini you can put in the same mix of it. He was a scapegoat for a lot didn't like him. Still a first choice international footballer that we let go. Sanchez, all of these people haven't been replaced in the slightest. Now we can look at, yes, it might have opened some doors for academy players, which I'm all for. That is what we do at United. Yeah. And I think there was a period of time where Matt Busby, was it 4.5 years in between him signing people because he just pulled them out of the academy?
Yeah, it was never his thing. I mean, he didn't like spending money. I think we talked about it last time. The reason he resigned off the board was he said no player would cost more than £1 million. If they signed Robbo, well, he told the board that if United signed Robbo, he would resign, and we signed Robbo, and the rest is history. But Sir Matt resigned because of that. But interesting for me is when they asked Ollie about who was the best finisher, at the club, and he said
Marshall or Rashford, neither.
Greenwood. so when I bring him out, I'll stick him on the wing, and I think to myself, well, if he is as good, because we've watched him, we know how good he is at a level. He's got to step up, but already on Saturday, he showed enough to say.
And frightened him, didn't he?
Yeah, he did frighten him. He knows where the goals is, and I'd like to see him get a run out where he's played as a number 9 and he's played in the box. I don't want to see him doing what we do with players at United sometimes. Well, where do we fit you? Let's stick you out on the right wing and expect you to cross and there to be no one in the box. My concern this season has been, even from the very beginning, is the lack of chances. We're dominating again, dominating possessions, and yet you look at shots on target, and I think we had 5 against Chelsea. Do we have 2 against Wolves? It was
bad, yeah.
Low down. Crystal Palace.
It was more against Saints.
And Palace, we didn't. The keeper in the first half had nothing to do, and that's got to be a concern for us, especially because Carrick and that all spoke about that. They weren't allowed to do their kind of attacking tactics and things, stuff like that, and you wonder basically, what are we doing?
I wonder actually if there's not been a massive focus on the changing of the style of play to this aggressive press that we've seen from United, and if we've focused far too much on that and neglected maybe some patterns of play when we're in possession, and also very clearly some set pieces, at least attacking and defendingly. It seems that way anyway, because we've been well shit at both. I wonder if that's been the case, that we've over-egged something.
It becomes, it's one of those things that pressing becomes the flavour of the month. And so every team is expected to do it. And
Ollie did this all the way at Molde, though. So.
And he's got, unfortunately, he's got Dan James, who seems to be, running his arse off, and he's chasing everything. And he's got Rashford, who I've said before, I'm still not convinced by. I'm still not convinced that he is of that level. I think when he came on, he terrified everyone with his pace, and he is great. He's a fast thing. Whether he's a finisher, I don't know. And he runs in a straight line. That's my concern for Rashford. Is all his lines are straight line runs. He doesn't arch his runs. He doesn't make men's runs, and he certainly doesn't. If you will notice now, after watching this, he doesn't close down. He doesn't. He just doesn't. He just he ambles a little bit, but he doesn't put the shift in that we saw the Southampton players making against us, that closing down. Now that might be a tactic thing, that might be to rest him for anything like that. But I think there was a guy who was screaming out, "Let me be number 9, let me be number 9." And, my concern is, is he going to make it? Is he? I mean, it's like you said. We talked about the past. He's 21 years old. He's still got, still got a fantastic amount.
So far,
a fantastic amount of goals. It's. Can you hang a season on him? Is he going to get us 30 goals? And I have my doubts. I think he'd be better off with a goal-scoring centre forward playing off him. I think he'd be a far more effective player. But then you've got Martial, who fits the same bill. I'd like to see a right winger. I would love to see United go back to this the style of having wingers. You hear this mythical, it's the United way. No one's ever been able to tell me what the United way is or what a United player is. You would expect every player who plays for United to be a United player, because you'd expect them to realise that they're the biggest club in the world and step up. They can't all do that. Up until Saturday, I had my doubts about James. I've got to admit, I was starting to think, is he bellying? You know what I mean? Is he just a really, really fast player who doesn't deliver everything?
Pre-season was, I thought he'd be a brilliant impact player, because he is so fast and he is so aggressive and enthusiastic. But there wasn't the final ball there. Now, the comments from my video at weekend was filled of people like, how can you say he's got no end product? He scored 3 and 4. Yeah, he has. But he's also got himself in some fantastic positions. Maybe I was a little harsh on him following the Saints game. He did put some better looking balls in. I was going to get into expected goals and shit like that, but I actually think some of the crosses that he put in, some were good, some were bad. It's probably better than what we've had recently.
Not difficult.
No, but I think prior to Saturday, he has been extremely wasteful in some really good areas.
Yeah, which is understandable. You're playing at Old Trafford, or you're playing in a Premier League ground, and there's a lot of expectation, and the adrenaline must pump. Yeah, it must go. Crazy.
I didn't agree with the criticism of him celebrating his goal at Old Trafford either. I fucking celebrated it. That's
absolutely that's absolute nonsense. Yeah. It was a kid who. This is only like a dream, and to be there
Stop
and
trying
score.
To be fucking cool, man. Just fucking get in there and celebrate it.
It's a nice habit to have, to keep scoring goals. When people say, if he does that and ends up with 24 goals this season, I'm not really going to complain about his crossing ability if he's knocking in over 20 goals a season.
Look, one of the most wasteful players I ever saw at Old Trafford was Ronaldo, but he pulled out a goal a game.
Yeah,
I'm not. This isn't me saying Dan James is Ronaldo. I'm just literally saying there's been other wasteful players.
Yeah. I mean, Ronaldo's a different kettle of fish. Ronaldo played for Ronaldo. He never actually ever played for United. He's never played for Real Madrid. He's and fantastic, and it got you the wins. But that's what will always separate him from Messi. Messi will play for a team. Ronaldo will play for Ronaldo. Hence, when the team's 3-0 up in a European final, Real Madrid, and he scores the fourth being a penalty with 2 minutes to go, he'll take his shirt off and runs the crowd like he's won the competition. There's a lot I saw on Saturday which I really liked about James. I liked the work ethic. I think he was prepared to chase back. I like the positions he was coming through. I like the fact that he was hitting balls into the area. I think the problem is that we don't have that player at the moment who wants to be in the box, who wants to be a presence in the box, who wants to sniff. We were talking before about Sterling, who's suddenly who used to be that player who went on runs and had no end product, and now he's realised that if you stand in the 6-yard box and the ball comes to you...
City's system is just made... I could go and probably score 15 goals a season for City, I think. Yeah, they just make so many chances.
That's all about... And that used to be us. Gary Lineker used to say, I remember when he was on Match of the Day, he said, if you're playing centre forward for United and you can't score 20 goals, he said, I could do it because, as you say, we used to create chances. We had Giggs, we had Beckham, and these guys were putting the ball in all the time. We had Scholes and stuff like that. You look at now who we have, Young, forget it. Matter.
No comment. That's our fucking captain. Simon, have some respect.
Yeah. And I mean, let's face it. Fair dues to Young. If you're young and the club offers you that and gives you the chance to play, you're not gonna turn it down.
Bollocks.
You're gonna snap the hands. I think that he's someone that we need to get out. But I also appreciate that Ollie has to look around the club and think, you know, who's there, who's going to bring the experience that he has. And I don't know what he's like in the dressing room. You know, he might be a good lad in the dressing room. Are you really going to leave it down to Pogba to be that guy voice in the dressing room? Because if everything's going great, fantastic. But if Pogba, I mean, Zidane has virtually come out and said, I'm not interested in any other player. I want Pogba. So, you know, Pogba wants to go to Real Madrid. He's making, you know, he's not hiding that. There's no,
his brother might as well wear a t-shirt.
There's no I love United and things like that. I mean, sometimes you see him playing and you can see the sulking. But there's also a bit of me that thinks, you know, let's have it right. Pogba's a fantastic player. He's in the top 10 of the world, and anybody who thinks he isn't is just deluded. His attitude might not be that good, but I can also understand he must look around United and think, look at the players. Look at, you know, who am I going to give the ball to? Who's making that run? Some of the players that he's had to play with in this United team, you know. And then he sees, you know, we're chasing a game, and he sees Matic come on, and he must think, what?
Do you know what? In Matic's semi-defence, I did the same thing. And the week before, when he was on the bench against Palace, I was like, what's the decision making where you go, I'll put him on a bench just in case what? What is the reason Matic is coming off? But I thought you were pretty good against Southampton.
But at a time when Southampton were down to 10 men,
yeah,
you know, they'd taken a striker off and they were offering absolutely nothing. And you get this oil tanker taking 3 days to turn around. There's no drive and there's something. And if anybody can tell me what Pereira, Lingard, or Mata to an extent gave that Gomez couldn't have given, I don't know, because
Angel's only issue is size and physicality in it, and that's an asset because he's the most foul player I've ever seen.
Well, if Mata's that much bigger than him, then I'm not. And nowadays, like you say, you know, you're not. It's a non-contact sport. You know, the days when someone's going to come, some hefty centre half is going to go straight through him because. You know, unless you're an Arsenal player and you can just foul who you like and not get a booking, like then that's fine. But most people nowadays realise that you're not giving fouls away.
Not only that is that you can't actually even get near him sometimes to foul him because his lateral movement makes no sense.
His sense of balance, you know, and his movement is absolutely fantastic. But what I like about him is his vision. His head's always up. He's always looking where he is, and I would just like to see him being given a chance. I don't know whether obviously Ollie and Carrick see something that they think he's not quite ready yet. So,
well, I managed to jib myself into training at Wacker when he was in Australia on pre-season, and obviously Pogba was sensational. It kind of goes without saying. Yeah. I hadn't said it because. Obviously, yeah. But Angel and Scott McTominay actually to a certain extent was something that really stood out to me in training because when I was looking, they did, and this is why I'm wondering have they over-egged the press and the systematic pressing. Yeah. They did 4 drills and they were all pressing related, and Angel looked phenomenal in it. Think about it, you can't get past him when he runs at you. Yeah. Are you going to beat him laterally? No, you're not. Yeah. You're going to pass it round him. You might beat him for pace, but you're not really going to beat him. I thought he was sensational against Rotherham because that was a big test. Yeah, playing against blokes, playing against your lower league opposition like that. I thought he's got a tendency that Pogba's got, which is sometimes to do too much, to try and make it about him a bit much.
So the thing is that truly great players do the simple things, and every now and again they'll do something where you'll go, "Wow, that's unbelievable" and stuff like that, and he'll get you off your feet, and you'll say, "Can't believe it." Pogba wants to do that every time you give him the ball. He wants you to have your feet. He wants that wow moment every time. Yeah. And what he's got to learn is that your Zidane's, Messi's, your Ronaldo's, your really great players are happy just to lay off.
Yeah, once a game.
And go again. And
99%
and give it. And a lot of players have clicked. A lot of clubs have clicked that Pogba gets the ball and turns on himself. And so they'll put a player tight on him. He turns that player, great, but there's another player waiting to turn him, who takes the ball off him. He falls on his arse. He looks at the ref, does that, and the ref's not interested, quite rightly. And it happens too many times now. He's been figured out for that. I don't like seeing played as a holding midfielder. If you've got to play with his ability and you're using him just to protect your back four, then that there really is a problem at the club because he should be playing. You saw against Southampton when he opens his legs up. We'll talk about size though. With Angel Gomez, City are a tiny team. Are a tiny team. And the best chance you've got against City is dead ball. Because you can give them trouble. If you knock a ball in and you're physical with them in the air, they struggle.
You think Harry Maguire, especially. Before we move off that, the one thing I was going to say with Angel is he has a tendency sometimes to do what Pogba does, where it's try and be a bit flash with it. But against Rotherham, he simplified his game and he became the conduit from defence to attack, which is what he's supposed to do in that role. And there were so many times United would win the ball back, find Angel as a first point, and because his vision and his awareness is outrageously good, he already knows that Chong was running from left to centre, and he puts her outside of the foot, one touch pass with the perfect weight on it into a perfect position. You go, come on, which is where
your leader comes in, because if he did that, if Keane's playing, if Rooney's playing, and you waste a chance like that, you'll get away with it once.
No, I mean they were perfect balls.
No, but once he'll let you over egg the pudding once, and he'll let you do it once. But you do it twice, and Keane's in your face. And whether we've won 3-0, 5-0, if you've wasted a chance, Keane wants to know why, and he'll shut you down. And he would have shut Pogba down. He didn't care who you were or your reputation, was. If you weren't doing the simple things properly. Keane was in your face, and Nicky Butt would have been in your face, and Wayne Rooney would be in your face, and Steve Bruce would be in your face, and Vidic would have been in your face, and Stam would have been in your face. And now you look at that team, you think, who's getting in your face?
Well, I mentioned after Inter Milan on pre-season, and Skriniar went through Chong a few times, and I was like, where's the payback?
Yeah.
Who's the man that's going to go put one on Skriniar and be like, you don't fucking do that to my players? Yeah. That book's full of them.
Giggs' first game. Giggs is playing on the wing, and I forget who we were playing.
City?
No. It's one of his first games, and he was getting battered by some right back, an old-fashioned right back, who was giving him plenty. And Robbo just said, "You sit in the midfield for a bit. I'll play on the wing." And he had 10 minutes out there. And he just said to Giggsy, "Right, you get back there. He won't touch you again." And but that was another thing of Fergie. That his teams, Vinnie Jones said it. Said United could play you off the park when it plays Wimbledon, but if you wanted to mix it, they were just as happy. Can you imagine having Robson, Bruce, Ince all coming for you, and they would come for you. As with Arsenal, that great Arsenal team they had, when Arsenal had Vieira and Petit and all that,
they were hard.
They'd all come, and Tony, they would all come for you. And I totally agree with you. Sometimes, you see it, and you see peacemakers, and you see them walking away and things like that. So, yeah, we do need... it would be nice to see a little bit of steel. I like Scott McTominay. Sometimes I've seen him get in there, and he's a big lad. Now, I know from people who saw him as a kid that he was head and shoulders, literally head and shoulders, but head and shoulders above anybody at his level. As a young kid, he was something special. I'm not convinced he's the answer to us. I think he's a good squad. I think he's Darren Fletcher, Mark II. He'll do a job for you and do a great job. I'm yet to see him, produce anything where you think, well, that's real class. I think he's what me and you would call it, academy product at United, and we've got hundreds of them who can happy with it on a ball and control it and stuff like that. I'd like to see what else he has to offer apart from his physicality.
There's three lads that I think are coming through the academy that have got that character about him. I think Angel's got a bit of character about him, but and he wears the armband a lot, but I'm not sure he wouldn't fit in with this group of leaders, I don't think. But Jimmy Garner, captains United at every level.
Oh yeah.
He'll kick off in a phone box on his own.
But what I like about Garner is I don't think Garner's got a back pass in his locker. I think Garner's on the ball, and he's always looking. He's looking to create something. He's got and you put Garner 30 yards out.
Oh, he's having a dig,
and he's having a dig, which we don't see anymore. I mean, sometimes I think that gets coached out when they get in the first team. I think some of them are frightened to, which was nice to see. Nice to see James, actually get the ball, and rather than lay it off, think, you know, I'll have a go. But no, I'm with you all day on Garner. I've not understood why he's not been given a chance.
Yeah, well, I'm going to come to this in a sec, but Brandon Williams, he will fight any man, I think.
He's a unit as well.
He's not roofed in at all right,
No.
which I love. I've always got time for a nutter. He's not quite in the Rojo mould, but he's not far off. And he's a fucking... I saw him hit someone in a derby a couple of years ago, and he tells me he didn't. I fucking saw you, mate. So I did. And the ref didn't see it. The ref must have just glanced. He just punched someone in the back of the head and then walked off. And I was like... I think I'm the only one who just saw that. He's mad for it. He loves a wind-up as well. I think he's the sort of fullback that you're going to hate playing against because he doesn't shut up giving you abuse. He's meant for it. And the other one, who is... I'm seeing a lot of calls for this weekend on the back of another clanger from Lindelof, is Axel.
I must admit. I mean...
It's rare, isn't it, to have three like that coming through?
Lindelof is an enigma because... you look at him internationally, he looks confident when he's playing internationally. He looks like he can take a free kick and everything like that. Whether the shirt's a bit too heavy for him, whether the team...
I think he can't deal with scrappy football. I think you look at some of his best games. I mean, even last season, Juventus. You know, he deals brilliantly with teams that want to play football in the channels.
He reminds me, and I'm not comparing... Rio was a Rolls Royce of a footballer, but... anybody who remembers Rio against Duncan Ferguson and players like that, you could. But no, you could. Well, no, Darren, you know, you got to remember that Vidic or Stam would love it. Yeah, send all day. So, send your biggest, baddest person at me, and all day I'll deal with it. You look at he has this way of jumping, Lindelof, which worries me, that he just jumps straight up and down. He never jumps into a player, and the Southampton guy came at an angle at him, using all his body, and Lindelof was never going to win. It was
more that he didn't check. Well, he was always looking at the ball.
Southampton had obviously done it, like other clubs had seen, that they sent a player for Maguire to mark, so Maguire goes and marks a player with no intention of passing the ball to him, you know, and teams will target him because, you know, his physicality is a problem. I think he's sometimes on the ball, you know, he's a little bit hesitant and stuff like that. So, you know, I want to see him do well. I've got no reason to. He's never particularly let us down. You know, he's made the odd mistake, but if you can tell me a United player that didn't make a didn't make a mistake at any point, then that's it. But I would like to see, you know, I'd like to see him given an opportunity maybe to take Lindelof out of the firing range. But you know, what we've also got to accept is they've only had 4 games together, him and Harry. So, you know, it takes anybody who remembers Bruce's debut, and you know, and Pallister's debut, and things like. If anybody, or Stam, if anybody remember the Charity Shield against Arsenal, if people can remember this, Nicholas Anelka tore an arsehole out of him. He just made him look stupid, and you thought, what have we bought? He was too fast, and he ran him, and he made it, and you thought, God, what have we bought here? You know,
turned out all right.
Yeah, it wasn't such a bad centre half, was he, and stuff like that. But no, I'm with you. But you know, we've got to be careful of playing into the Glazers' hands and the Woodward's hands. And this is about. They want to talk about the football teams. I don't want to make this a political rant about the Glazers.
Do it.
Because, you know, everybody knows what they are doing to our football club, and anybody who's all right with it and thinks he's all right is deluded. Financially, we're in no different position than Bolton and Bury. We're being mismanaged. It's just because we're always at a bigger scale and we're making enough money to cover for them. Look at the money that's being taken out by these guys, and they're taking. You've got to remember, one of the sisters is making loans on the club that we don't know. You know, we don't know how much she's borrowed on the club.
Even worse than what I'd originally known. We're aware of the $1 billion taken out, and people have given me shit and said, "Oh, I support the Glazers." You fucking never heard that come out of my mouth. My only issue with all of the recent campaigns was, who's buying us? That's the difference. That I can't get behind a campaign.
Who's buying us at also without using the same tactics that they've used? Because
that was my only issue.
Well, and I've said this to people, right? So if you're the Glazers, you've got a club that's cost you nothing. Every year it guarantees. You're guaranteed what the kids are taking 15 million each every single year out of the club, and it's also it's a brand that you can use I mean, it's kind of shopping malls is their big thing in America, and they've made a mess of that so many times. What I don't think a lot of United supporters realise is financially what a terrible, terrible position we're in. We're really in a lot worse position than people think. Oh no, we can cover. What we're basically saying is we can cover a debt. We can't. We're not reducing it, but we can cover it. And our average net spend since 2009 has been £69 million a year. This summer, our net spend was 70 million. So we came in all right, and the kind of players that we should be buying.
What would cost that?
Well, let's face it. So what you've got to look at, the Glazers have figured out that to actually challenge properly would cost £500 million in the summer. To make a serious challenge, to bring those kind of players in that would make that difference would cost £500 million.
Easily.
And they're thinking to themselves, well, what's the return on winning? Do we make that much more money than if we finish in the top four? They then look at, there's only 2 teams that are really going to challenge this year. Then it's like deja vu. Everybody else, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, throwing points away. It's like last year and they'll keep giving us we've got a chance. We're still in, and even now, if we win our next game against Leicester, we go back up to 3rd. And it
probably should have been 2nd.
Oh no! If we'd got a penalty, we'd have every reason to think we might have been 1st, because there isn't any of those games. We've not played a game yet that we couldn't have won.
Yeah, true.
But so the Glazers are looking at it and thinking to themselves, well, do I really want to be spending another £500 million when I don't need to? I'd rather the money kept coming in and coming into my pockets rather than going out on players. And what they're very clever at, which is Woodward. Woodward's very good at deals, but what he's also good at is we had a manager in Jose who, knew what he was doing and had a proven track record. Whether people like him, and you'll get he embarrassed us and everything like that. He was just aware of what was happening at the club, and given the right players, we would have been challenging. So, but then Ollie came along, who's a fan's favourite. No real record to say why he should have been given the job. We got that fantastic start, and they thought, brilliant, thank you very much. And then so they can say, well, we gave you the manager we want. So
I do wonder how much PR played into that.
Oh, massively. United supporters now are in the position of, if it doesn't work out for Ollie, and so far there's nothing to indicate which way it will go. It could go brilliantly, and it could go absolutely appalling. We'd lost to Chelsea rather than beating Wales, because Chelsea had 2 chances before we scored, didn't they? Hit the bar and the post, and we'd be on 3 points now, and people really would be worrying. But United, unfortunately, we've got a different set of supporters. We've got a different kind of supporters than as you can tell, I'm old enough to remember the 70s and the terrible times of the 80s when we can't really compare them, because things were bad. But that it was never about money in those days. It was about, you got 11 great players, and anyone could actually come up. Like being Nottingham Forest, you could come up and you could win the league. Leeds came up and won the league just based on the players you had. It didn't bother about, now it's if you got enough money to buy the league and things like that. But we've now got supporters who want success, and they want it now, and they want it immediately, and they expect Ollie to change everything like that. Whether he'll be given the time, I really don't know. I wouldn't like to say he'll be given the time, because, as I said to you, what happens if he doesn't? If he really doesn't have a plan B, and he really doesn't know, he isn't going to get any better, because if somebody can tell me a player that he's improved while he's been here, I'm not talking about his buying. He's got rid of players that we all wanted to go, and there's still others. I think he sent out the right message. I think that Jones must realise that his time's finished. Rojo must realise that his time's finished. Hopefully, Young realises that his time's finished. I think in his head he'll know that Pogba's not here for long. It's whether he's allowed to bring the players in, and whether he's given enough time. I personally think that if we're right down in the bottom half of the table in the second half, I can't imagine Woodward being strong enough to say we're going to give him that, because there's going to be you're going to get a lot of sponsors, and people should remember that we are run. The way to look at United is that we are run profit above glory, always. That's the way they look. What can we make money off? Not what can we do. If we win the league or we win a trophy, are the Glazers there dancing and everything like that? Nah. They don't care.
But surely you make more money by absolutely rinsing trophies.
No. Not that isn't always the case. I think it works in this country. In America, in the rest of the world, we're still. You look at the Australian tour. You look at the crowds that we pulled in. You looked at we were playing, Inter Milan, and 9/10 of the crowd were United.
I think it was more than that.
Yeah,
just the tiniest little.
Yeah, exactly. We are because
we all came in the same taxi.
We are very clever. We are that brand. And it's a brand. And
but it doesn't last forever, though.
Well, it's like anything. It depends how you manage it. And Woodward is very, very good at managing a brand rather than a football club. And I think if he left United, fingers crossed. If he left United, I think he'd get snapped up by
Amazon
by a club. Exactly. You're talking about people who you'd like to see buy United. There's a guy.
Yeah, oh my days. Yeah, please, Jeff Bezos, you're our only hope. Or his missus.
I'd still like somebody to come up and tell me how the Glazers were considered, fit and proper. And you got to remember they weren't getting the club. They weren't able to buy. They couldn't put a package together to buy it. And then our man Ed came up with a package, and that's why they'll never sack him.
He's got the job, yeah.
So if he says to them, no, I want to be the person who picks the players, they look at the bank account and they say, yeah, all right, Ed, you do whatever you like with them.
I meant to say earlier the principal debt that they put on the club back in 2005 was 660 million. After 15-ish years, 14 years of paying back over 100 million a season in refinancing costs, debt, interest, we only took 200 million off that. We still owed 460 million, which did we get it with Wonga? Did we get it off? And also, you've got to look at when they took over. We were the best ground in the country. Yeah, bar none. Old Trafford was a stadium, and you look at us now, and we are run down. And anybody who believes that they're going to put their money in their pockets and develop us to where we should be 100,000 plus stadium now, rivaling anywhere in the world because we've got the money and everything like that. But no, not at all, because they want it to go in their pockets. Joe, we haven't even paid off our last lot of players. We have got 248, I think, million still owing out because we've bought players on the never. Mm-hmm. Some of them have been sold before we paid for them.
I think most people haven't got any idea the kind of trouble we have, and I don't want it to be like negative, doom, gloom, and stuff like that. Because when it all comes to, when you forget about the Glazers, when you forget about Ed, when you forget about the starts this season, we are Manchester United, and we will always be Manchester United, and that's what Liverpool can't stand. It's what City can't stand. There's that magic about us that if you put us at the bottom of the league, we will still be Manchester United.
We will still have 60 or 1,000.
We will still when we come to town, it's your biggest game.
Oh, saw Southampton celebrate.
Yeah, exactly, and it's you got. I think Crystal Palace are putting a DVD out, aren't they, of the game?
Stop it.
I think there was talk about them actually releasing that as a game, because that's how much we matter to people, and and we still matter. So there'll always be that, and and I think as supporters we do need to take a reality check and think, nothing. Football goes in cycles. AC Milan, we're almost like AC Milan in Italy. I'm old enough to remember when AC Milan dominated Italian football. They dominated Europe.
Just when I started watching that, and they
had some of the best players in the world, and it drops off, but it'll come again. I've heard Gary Neville say it, and sometimes Gary makes some statements for the sake of making statements and to make sound bites. But I do agree with him when I think that it might take a year, it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years. You look at Liverpool now; they've been so far and they haven't won the league. But at some point, somebody will get it right, and those players will come through, and we will get. But what we need to do is we need to get a system, and we need to get players who are happy with that system, and we need to get players who want to play for the club.
Do you think it's possible we will challenge and win a title, not by fluke? I'm not talking like a Leicester where it just fell right for one season, but like if Liverpool won the league this year, you wouldn't call it a fluke, because they've built and built and built and built, and they've come second a couple of times, and then they eventually win it. That's not a fluke. That's working towards something. Leicester went, boff, win it, lost. That's a fluke. If United replicate what Liverpool have just done, which might take 3 years, might take 5, might take 10. Do you think it's possible to do that while the Glazers are still in charge with their current mindset towards investment?
No. Not at all. There's no point. I'd love to be able to say yes, and you know, Fergie had created a culture that was already there when they took. People say, "Oh yeah, we won stuff under the Glazers," but that was because of Fergie, you know, and not in spite of them. You know, they destroyed him. They destroyed the empire that he built. They sold those off with everything else just to bring money in. And he knew what was coming. You know, I think most people understand why he left. He knew that under their regime, he was never going to be able to challenge Manchester City's financial power, and he saw it all slipping away from him. He saw Ronaldo and was, you know, replaced with people like Michael Owen.
There's no way a man that who did he break the record? How many times did he break the record? He broke it for Pallister for the biggest defender.
Yeah.
He broke it for Rio for the biggest defender.
Yeah.
Rooney for the biggest teenager.
Yeah.
Veron, I think, might have been a British record. Keane was a British record.
Yes.
You telling me that the guy that did all of that saw no value in the market?
Yeah, and you know, and he knew what was happening. He knew that he was never going to be able to challenge City's spending power, and so he went out on top. And fair dues to him, and I you know, I hope the boss is having a great time, and like I said, you know, and it's great to see him looking well and everything like that. But I'd personally like him to say more about the Glazers. But let's face it, there is a certain file with some questions in it that some racehorse owners left there about certain money, which obviously prevents him from doing that. Allegedly, yes. God forbid that anyone would suggest that Alex ever made any money out of transfer dealings. That's not me. But yes, so
fuck me, I want to talk about this. So
yes,
badly.
no, we don't. we don't want to talk about any deals where certain Scotsmen and Portuguese men have made money out of deals. All we concerned about is the glory that Alex won. But somebody will come along. I love the guy at Wolves.
I do.
I think he's got United written all over him. I think Pochettino looks absolutely devastated that he didn't get the United job. I think it's...
Well, their record over... People love to bring up Ollie's last 17 games or whatever.
Oh,
that's worse than ours.
I think since he knew he wasn't getting the job, I think he was... I think he had his stuff planned. I think he knew what he was coming to United, and the job was his. Everyone knew it was his. And, you know, and suddenly...
Fergie went and had lunch with him, didn't he? Which is a weird thing for him to do.
I think Fergie said, wait your time. You know, wait, your chance will come, because you know, I mean, there must be managers now who are thinking 2-3 years ahead. You know, Ollie's, if it doesn't work out for Ollie, and I feel sorry for Ollie, because I think he has all the right intentions. I think he's like us. You know, if we were given the job at managing United, someone says, you can come and manage United, but I'm not letting you spend the money, I'll take it. I can work miracles, and he wants to believe he can work miracles, and so do we.
Well, he's definitely changed the culture, and he's definitely changed the style of playing. And for those that go, no, Mourinho played counter-attack, you should go and take up another fucking sport, because you clearly don't get football. He's definitely changed that. However, the results post his appointment, which I still think was the absolute right thing to do, the timing was right. There was a lot of players that needed to either sign up or sling out, which they've more or less done. I'd like to see De Gea, Pogba.
That's where I've got to disagree. I don't understand. I don't understand why he had to be given the job until the end of the. It was a part of planning. I think he. Yeah, and if we'd suddenly gone on a spurge and brought in some 5 world-class players, I'd think, well, they had that all planned. You know, I think. So well, I don't think anyone was going to buy Daniel James. Apart from us, I think Wan-Bissaka, was anyone really going to pay what we paid for him? I think it's going to work out. I think he's a fantastic player, but you know, we still paid top dollar for him. And with Maguire, we paid exactly what Leicester said we were going to pay at the start of the summer. We kept it all going, but in the end, they said, "You're going to give us that," and we gave it them. So I don't agree with that, and I think if we'd left it to the end, I think you would have seen difference in players. I think there's quite a lot of players who thought my mate's got the job. I must admit, I don't like it when Ollie comes out and starts calling players rashy, and you know, he's not the mate, he's the manager, you know, and he's there. He doesn't realise that these lot will throw him under a bus. They will lose him his job if he doesn't get into them and doesn't get them to step up, and that will be, you know, that'll be a tragedy if that happens, because, you know, the guy's a legend, and he will walk away a legend, whatever he does. He will always be, you know, that man in 1999. This won't taint.
To me and you, will, but some younger ones probably not.
Yeah, and that's all that matters, isn't it, Steve? Really, you know, football is only about what you've experienced. You know, I'm old enough and lucky enough to have caught the end of Dennis and the end of Bobby and the end of George. I never saw them at the best. They will always be legends. To me, you know, I've got, you know, the 1970s team. I've got Robbo, and I've got the 90s team and things like that to do. And it's your memories will always become greater in our memories. You know, we will have Robbo never made a mistake, and Scholes was fantastic. And that's the great thing about football. And Ollie, you know, Ollie was a great player to me. You know, just for that goal, he gets a free pass. He gets a free pass on me. Do I think he's the man to take us further? I'm out of it. I wish he'd stop the old, you know, this is United's tradition and things like that, because he's not Alex Ferguson. You know, he can't get players to play like Alex Ferguson, and he needs to be. It needs to be his team.
A Fergie. I think he's got the Fergie Bible in his hand, and I think he's definitely trying to do it. Which, right or wrong, if he thinks that's the way to do it, I know he's got a lot of respect for the way Jurgen Klopp's done stuff, which wouldn't shock me to see us develop more of a system that looks a bit more akin to how they're doing it.
God forbid that he turns into that clown.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully he's not running onto the pitch and...
Yes.
Is that a camera?
And, well, if the Super Cup, the embarrassment of the Super Cup, which is basically the charity shield for Europe, and to see Liverpool trying their hardest to pretend that it's a European trophy was fantastic. And I mean, that does fill me with a little bit of hope, the fact that Liverpool are still so desperate that idiot is still like running on the pitch as though, you know, it's something special. You know, and
oh man, they're going to win the league.
No, City. This is always remember this. Always remember this, that Manchester City, and I said this to all City fans, have one job in life, because they don't matter to us. No, stop Liverpool.
All right.
Stop Liverpool, because does City matter to us? Not really. You know, they're like an embarrassing cousin that comes to a wedding that's just inherited some money. You think, oh yeah, great, and they don't matter for us. And for of a certain generation, so I'm not including everybody. There's younger viewers here who might not be the same to us. It's about Liverpool. It's about stopping Liverpool, because let me tell you, they can win all the European trophies they want. Every year that they don't win the league and that we've still got it over them, it hurts them more and more. And Klopp said, has actually said, if I don't win the league
in 4 years,
if I don't
last summer, mate.
If I don't win the league, I'll not be a success. And it will hurt them, because this is, as you say, this is their best chance. And if City do them again, which there's every chance they will, then I'll take City winning the league all the time. If it stops Liverpool, you know, City is so far behind us, and you know, they're bringing in these superstars to win the league with no kids playing and everything like that. If you're a Manchester City fan, are you really, you know, once you got over the novelty of winning the league?
Well, there's a lot of them already saying that.
Yeah, they've won the league, they've done that bit and stuff like that, and then they're just saying, you know, I keep hearing about the Stockport Iniesta, Phil Foden, who's a great player. I think, what does he get any time on a pitch? Does he, does he heck? So, you've got to wish. You've got to be careful what you wish for. But yeah, don't worry about Liverpool. That won't happen and stuff like that.
Please don't say shit like that.
Oh,
definitely fucking coming back to home.
No, well, if it does, right? They can't take away what we've had.
No,
they can't. They that there isn't that treble. We've been there. We've been world champions, world club champions. Now it might happen for them. They might actually win the World Club Championship. I don't know, but we've done it twice. We've been there. They can't take away those moments from us. And that's what we forget. That's why City doesn't matter to me. Clubs now winning things doesn't take away those moments that we've had. being 3-0 down to Spurs and coming back and winning 5-3.
The next time we win the league, I would say we got blasé about winning the league towards the end.
Oh, easy. Yeah, without doubt. Without doubt.
Because parades didn't really give a fuck about. But I think the next time we win the league will be a fucking right party.
What is amazing is now when we used to lose a game. Do you remember? Your weekend would be absolutely ruined. You'd be for the rest of the weekend, the week you'd be thinking. And now we lose a game, and for half an hour you're pissed, and then you think, well, no, that's basically our level and stuff like that. What I'm looking forward to is when I'm starting to get nervous. When it's starting to, I'm looking around thinking, what our challengers are doing and things like that, and we need to win and stuff like that, and it'll happen. It'll come, and it depends on us getting the right man. What worries me is we've still not got a director of football.
Yeah.
I don't think we've got any intention, and I think if we bring a director of football in, I think it'll be a puppet. I think he'll be like an ex-United player or someone that Woodward can give a little, a nice paycheck to, and he'll do what he's told. And I don't think there's any plan. Guardiola was a plan 4 years in hands for City, and they had the coaches in from Barcelona who were buying his players already for him and things. So when he came to the job, we don't seem to have a plan. There was all Pochettino's coming. Oh, no, he's not. We'll give the job to Ollie. And, I'd like to see a plan. I'd like to see us, we should be looking at who are the next managers, who's up and coming. And we should be talking to them now and saying, if you came to United, what would you be doing and things like that.
That requires foresight and ambition, and I don't know if we've got that.
No, I'm with you. I think, like I say, profit over glory. And then it's obvious in the players that we buy, in our recruitment, in everything that we do. We're
competing with people striving for excellence and perfection by asking how much is good enough, aren't we?
Well, yeah, and we're challenging. We're looking at a team that you look at it on paper, it's not good enough. There's no miracles or anything like that. That you look that they they wouldn't get into Liverpool's team. They wouldn't get into City's team. None of them, and yet you're saying, well, why can't we challenge with them? Because that's the level that we are now, and we have to suck it up, and not become bitter and just become, well, we've had our great time. But what I will say to people is, and especially if you're young and stuff like that, enjoy it. You're a Manchester United supporter. Support the team, have a laugh, and enjoy it. Some of the greatest times I have had were in the 80s when we weren't winning anything, but we turned up, we made a noise, and everyone knew we were there. We used to go to Anfield, we used to celebrate when we got a 0-0 draw. But Liverpool hated it because we were there, we were Manchester United. And what a team to support. Everything, we've got it all. We've got the history, we've got the glory, we've got the players and stuff like that. And it does mean something. And spend less time worrying about it. Spend less time feeling, this is going wrong, and more time just enjoying the fact that you support the greatest team in the world.
I think on that note, we'll fucking call it a day, Simon.
Steve, always a pleasure.
Brilliant, mate. Yeah. Before we get out of here, make sure to go and check out The Athletic. The link is in the description below. It is the new home of football writing. Visit theathletic.co.uk/Howson and you can get a 30-day free trial and then get 50% off your yearly subscription at £2.50 a month. That's theathletic.co.uk/Howson. Start a 30-day free trial. So you've got nothing to lose. Go and check it out. And 50% off your yearly subscription. Simon, when's your next book out? When can we come and see you work?
Well, I'm working on a couple of things at the moment, which I'll keep under my hat until I've got them out. But hopefully fairly soon.
Simon's buying United, everyone.
I don't want to. Yeah,
he's going to do loads of scratch cards.
I was hoping to get a mortgage out.
I'd like to lend 700 million.
Yeah, and how much would you like to contribute that to yourself? Oh no, not a penny.
None.
No. Can you imagine actually going to a bank and say, I'd like to buy a house. And I've not got any money to put down myself. So I want you to give me all the money, and then when you've given me all the money, I'd like somebody else to pay my mortgage for me. You'd get left out, but for some reason you can come you can come to England, buy a football club based on that, and everyone says, yeah, that's fine. Never mind. One day.
hit subscribe. Let us know in the comments any of your thoughts. And if you're watching this like right now, I guess, then around about 4 o'clock, we'll be going live on Stretford Paddock with my brew, where we'll be sitting down with a couple of lads and talking utter bollocks for half an hour or so. So come and join us. I'll see you in the next one. Laters.